Amy, you need your new
Yeah.
LSO photo background. All right, Wolf. Folks are rolling in 10 by 10. How are you today?
I'm doing great. It's good weather. Kids are back in school. Things are, humming along. So it's pretty exciting. We just hired a new remote team member that I'm really excited about. So it's it's great in PM space.
I saw a really cute photo of your kids headed back to school.
Oh, thank
Showed
you.
showed it to my wife.
Yeah, that's this is our first year. All six are in school. So I went home and I didn't pull the. So what did you do all day? Right, while the kids are gone, I just said, "Hey, how many hours did you have a break?" And the district started on a Wednesday, which is like a half day. So today will be the first day, but I think she said she's gonna get like 4 hours. So pretty solid.
Yeah. Yep. My older daughter starts first grade in like a week and a half, and then the little one's still in daycare. But
Yeah.
cool. All right, we're gonna talk about sales automation. Great
Yes.
topic. Great topic. So, sales automation is one of the earliest points of leverage that I got in my business. And I'm excited to get into some of the stuff we implemented all the way back then, 6 years ago, when I first got a real CRM. And then, of course, there's a lot of much more recent, awesome stuff that we've been doing to drive our lead flow and our closing rates up.
Hmm.
But there's some great best practices that we put in place on day one that are just still the same and still work awesome.
Yeah. And I think for those watching, the benefit that you're gonna get today is a lot of times you and I are very similar in how we do things. And today you have a BDM, I don't have a BDM. So I think for those, depending on what camp you're in, or if you want a BDM and don't have one yet, there's going to be something for you because the leverage that we've brought on is definitely more tech driven and on the automation side.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm opposed to BDMs, just haven't gotten there yet, and so it's going to be great for people to see the differences and what those possibilities are. And then now you've even brought on a full-time marketing person, so I think that's going to be nice for those that you know don't have a marketing person, something that they
Yeah.
can learn about and to aspire to.
Yeah. So let's kick this off. So, welcome to Peter and the Wolf, sponsored by Lead Simple. Want to give a shout out
Mm-hmm.
to Lead Simple for hosting these events, putting them together, organizing them, paying for the Zoom, whatever you need, dealing with all the registration, the recordings, and all that stuff. So, the beautiful part about having Lead Simple as a sponsor of these is I can just show up and do my thing, and I don't have to worry about all the back end stuff. And they also graciously promote it to their email list. So thanks again to Lead Simple for sponsoring. Where do you want to start here, Wolf? What's our way into this topic today?
Well, so you mentioned when you got a real CRM. I'm kind of curious what that meant and what were you doing? Like, what's a fake CRM? Like, is that like a souped up Excel spreadsheet, or what is a fake CRM?
Well, we've all used Excel. Nothing wrong with that. I started with
Mm,
that. Probably everyone did. You're entering names, and there's a column for phones, and you kind of get fancy with like customizing your columns. But that just you quickly run out of steam because that's only going to take you so far, and you can't do anything except look at it. So we messed around with something called Streak. I think it was like a Google Gmail
mm,
thing. I messed around with something called Pipe Drive, I
yeah.
think. I tried a few of them,
Did you
and
try a
then
Lion Desk?
no.
That's the one we
Um,
were using.
yeah, and of course, eventually landed on Lead Simple. No surprise. 5 or 6 years ago, and never looked back because it's a CRM built for property managers. Not going to belabor that point. Everyone's probably heard of Lead Simple if you're on this webinar, but CRM for property managers, Lead Simple. Check it out. All right.
Hmm.
So now what we are going to do is talk about what you can do with it, or potentially other powerful CRMs in the realm of sales automation. Before we get to that, though, I had some notes on a few things I wanted to mention that are a little bit up the funnel from what I think of as sales automation, which is like sending automatic emails and things like that.
Mhm.
So first, um, get your Google scores up. Your Google My Business score is really important in property management, and there's some automations you can put in place to drive that score up. So if you
And when
haven't
you say
already,
score, you're talking about review score, not so
yeah,
much quality of profile score.
correct, the
Yeah.
reviews.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's automations you can put in place to send out emails at key points in the tenant and the owner life cycle, such
Hmm.
as when they sign a lease renewal or when they got an approved application, or for the owner side, like after the tenant moves in that you found, like those are the points at which you want to be contacting them and asking for a review. And there's tons of software out there that can help you do this, including, of course, Lead Simple, Property Meld, Appfolio. There's lots of ways to do this, but just wanted to put a bug in your ear if you're not already using some type of automation to drive positive Google reviews. Highly recommend it. There are some people I respect a lot who don't approve of gaming Google scores in this way. My hat's off to them. Great job. You are owed your rewards in heaven for being perfect. But my opinion is that it's a game, and if Google's not going to let me review scores from drive by people who never even applied but just left me a 1-star review because they didn't like that I wouldn't rent to them because they had an eviction, uh, I'm going to play the game and try and win. So
Yeah, and there's the other thing with, because you do bring up a good point. So like the sales piece, I think one, what's the difference between sales and marketing? Those terms get used back and
mm-hmm.
forth, and they're very, very different. And um, marketing is that bigger cloud of activities and trying to reach and throwing out the net, and the Google itself is changing. And so when you look at your Google My Business, yep, getting the reviews is solid, but then how do I get my Google My Business profile to show up in those top 3 results when somebody searches like property management, Pittsburgh, California, or whatever city you're in? You then need to let Google know you're an active business. You're like, oh yeah, I got a business license, I do this. No, Google considers active meaning that you are posting to your Google My Business profile. So if you're already doing a social media post or a LinkedIn article, or you have a blog, just repost that same stuff to Google My Business. They are a little bit stricter on what they will allow, but you need to be posting at least once a week if you can, a couple times a month, so that you're seen as an active business, because they want to make sure that when somebody looks for help in property management, not only do we find them in the right city, but we want them to go to the highest quality business. And so if you're actively posting, you must be active, and so it bumps up your score. So like that's a
Got it.
free easy thing to do, is post to your Google My Business profile. And then they're now getting into this whole almost like an Angie's List vetted, Google vetted type thing. I don't know if it's hit PM. It's definitely hit loan and the realtor side. So that's something to keep an eye on, because that's where people are Googling it, right? And in a previous Peter and Wolf episode, we talked about AI search results and how that's changing it as well. So I think it's a really good point that you bring up, to focus on that stuff first before we get into sending out postcards.
And I think you can automate the Google Business updates. Like I think you
To
can
some
hook,
extent, yes.
yeah, I think you can hook into that with Zapier and like I don't know, maybe you could make it so that every time someone leaves a good Google review, that runs through an AI and then post an update that's like, we want to thank so and so for leaving a positive review of our business, and like just leave that on autopilot.
Yep.
I think there's some cool things you can do there. All right, you mentioned something good which I want to hit on, which is the difference between sales and marketing. And I still
Mm-hmm.
find that people are very unclear on this. So let me make it super clear. Marketing is responsible for leads. Okay? And when I hired our marketing manager, I told him, you are responsible for lead flow to this company. Lead flow is currently X. If we don't get it to Y within 90 days or whatever, like this isn't going to work out.
Yeah.
Just like
Bye
your
bye.
one metric. So, and I was super clear on that with every candidate during the interview process and everything, because to me, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Sales is responsible for taking those leads and turning them into customers. And their one and only metric that really matters is closing rate. And so, same thing with our sales guy. When we hired him and went through the onboarding process and interview and everything, it's like, this is your metric. I'm not going to hold you responsible for generating leads. I'm holding you responsible for closing the leads that come in. So, getting really, really clear on that division of accountability and how and making sure that you're holding the relevant folks in your company accountable for those things is really, really helpful. And I know not everyone has a full-time marketing person and a full-time salesperson, but whoever is performing those functions should still be accountable for those numbers, whether that's an agency, whether that's a fractional person or a part-time person, or even if it's you. And we're going to talk about if it's you, but even if it's you, you still need to track those numbers and hold yourself accountable.
So just because I'm sure if somebody hasn't asked it already in the chat, they're going to ask, just 10 seconds. What are 3 things that this marketing person does for your management company to get leads without too many details?
Yeah. So they oversee the paper leads campaigns that we engage in, pay per click and paper leads, which there's a few of them. They're also responsible for all of the content stuff. So the website content, the email newsletters, any events that we do with our clients, any online events that we do, blog posts, social media updates, all of that is under their world. And then we also have him. Well, he spun up an awesome outbound program, which I think we're going to talk about outbound stuff a little later on and some automation you can do there. But he's generating leads essentially out of thin air, like not just inbound leads, but going outbound and getting people interested. And we actually just closed our first outbound generated client ever just a few weeks ago. And he just started like July 1. So it's been awesome.
Nice.
There he is. What's up, Andrew? All right. So let me just mention one more thing, and we're getting closer and closer to what I think you're probably thinking of as sales automation. So there's an important piece of marketing that leads to sales that's been helpful for us. If you go on my website, rlpmg.com/pricing, let me see if I can type that real quick. You're going to see there's a little thing at the bottom. And it looks like a bot. It's like a little pop-up thing that's like, hey, how can I help you? And you're thinking, oh, that's a bot. It's not a bot. It's actually a real person on the other end of that. It's a company I used called Approachment, and they chat with whoever talks on that screen, on that little pop-up. And it's a weird, stupid, silly little thing. But in the last 18 months, that's generated 23 leads for us. And 27% of those 23 leads have closed. I should have done that math and told you the actual number. But so that's been really awesome for us. And it's just like a strange thing that some people, they don't want to call, they don't want to like fill out a form, but they'll chat with the little pop-up thing that shows up. So I'm going to drop a link. I think you may get a discount if you sign up through that link. The one thing I'll mention is if you look at the pricing there, it's way too high. I don't pay anywhere near that amount for this service because the volume is way, way, way lower than even their lowest plan. But if you sign up and then tell them you want to switch to metered billing, and that I talked with them before this to make sure it was okay. Just tell them you want to switch to metered billing. You'll only be charged like a prorated amount on the actual number of chats that happen. And it's very reasonable. Like I think I'm paying more like $100 a month for this for our volume. So anyway, it's not exactly an automation thing, but it feels like automation because someone's taking care of it on the back end and it's generating leads for us. So thought I would share that.
And they're not a PM specific service?
No, they're not. They're actually totally outside the world of property management. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I know chat bots, people want immediate answers. There's most websites, people have like contact us, schedule a meeting, schedule a call, whatever. And the closer you can get the person to the actual meeting or live answer, the better, right? So if originally was they fill out a form, you get an email, you then have to work the email, and call them, set up the appointment, all this back and forth. That all that time is time lost, because the data shows it's whoever answers the phone first is more likely
Mm-hmm.
going to win the deal. I mean, we just did one yesterday. Guy was actually was our first ever bigger pockets legit lead. Like, I almost had to buy pizza for everybody. That's a whole nother story. But his first comment is like, "Oh, you picked up the phone." Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And that pretty much got the point, is that I picked up the phone.
Yeah.
He didn't really care about years in service or that. He was like, "Oh, you guys picked up the phone. You must have good systems, blah blah blah." And there we go. So getting people to an appointment, a live person, as soon as possible, as seamless as possible, is great. A great way to go, and where you should be working towards.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. You mentioned the forms on the website. Let me say a couple things about that. First of all, and again, we're working our way kind of down the stack, getting closer to sales and sales automation.
Mm-hmm.
But the forms are really important. So, first of all, you need to test the forms on your website, and you need to set up a recurring task to do this, like quarterly or every 6 months or something. Because once in a while, something will break, like your credit card change and your form software is discontinued, or your website wasn't had an update or security thing and now it's broken, and like you will never
Yep.
know that. It will silently break, and people will be having tried to fill out forms on your website for 6 months. They're not going through, and they will not tell you if it's not working. So just set up figure out a way to audit this, write up a process for how to do it, set it on a recurring task, and have your admin assistant or somebody do this, and just make sure that all those forms are actually coming through with all the right data and going to the right place. That's another thing, is like, well, we had the forms going to Jeff's email and set that up 3 years ago, but then Jeff quit and I turned off his email and I completely forgot that like that was where those forms were going. That's super common. So,
Well, not only that, you're talking about forms breaking. I helped somebody that had a form, had some Zapier automation, and let go of an employee. And before that employee was let go, they anticipated it, and they had that form redirect to their new job, and they were stealing all the leads.
that's insane.
Yeah. So,
That is
really
totally
good point
insane.
about testing.
Let's see. So the other thing about forms is that our website, if you look at some of the forms on our website, some of them are like multi question, like you answer one question, click next, answer another question, click next. It's like, how many properties do you have? How do you like your properties maintained? How long do you plan on holding the property? Initially, I thought, well, no one's going to fill out all this data. This is going to totally like reduce the number of people completing our forms. But for some reason, people really like those little short questionnaires. As long as you keep it to like 5 or 6 questions and they're really easy to answer, I think it gives the people a sense of confidence that you are a specialist in property management because you're asking really relevant questions about them and their property. And
Mm-hmm.
they seem to really like doing these multi step forms. So we've leaned into that, and we have tons of volume coming through our website who have completed these multi step forms. And so I recommend those. If you just have like a simple contact us form, I think you should A/B test that against a multi-step form that asks a bunch of specific questions about them and their properties, and I think you'll like the results of that.
Always good to A/B test everything you do, and if you can't track it, you got to question whether you should be doing it or spending
Yeah.
money on it.
Last thing on forms, there's a great recommendation in a book I read, and I'll talk about the book a little later on in today's webinar. That he recommended in the book that after someone completes a form, instead of just dropping them on a page that says thank you redirect them to a page that has an embedded video from you, the owner, talking about your company. And be
Mm-hmm.
like, thank you so much for completing a form to learn more about our property management company. I'm Peter Lohman, the founder and CEO of RL Property Management. Let me tell you a little bit about how we approach property management and how we will manage your property. Basically, speak right to them. Take advantage of that point of maximal interest to deliver 5 or 6 minutes to do the following: set expectations, build, that trust factor. Hey, that I'm hearing right from the owner. Like, that's a powerful, impactful moment that you can take advantage of. Um, Andrew, I hope you're taking notes on this because we haven't done this yet. Um, and I really liked it when I read it in the book. And again, I'll talk about the book a little later, but that was the last thing I wanted to say about forms.
And that's, for those that are like, oh yeah, I want to do that. How do I do that? In Jot form, that's my go-to for forms. Super easy to do. You can redirect the thank you page based on answers on the form, embedding video. But if you just leave the stock, the green checkbox, it's very cool. You can even, put in your merge tag. So it's Peter, thank you for filling out the form and really excited to work with you, or whatever, we'll be in
Yeah.
touch, etc. But so I saw Monica's question. The company that we use for forms is called Jotform, Jotform. I think it's one of the best ones out there. Super powerful, a lot of great features, but there are other ways to do this other than just Jotform.
Yep. All right. So I think we're to the actual sales automation fun stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So we both got screen share stuff that we want to walk through. Let me kind of set the stage first. So you're going to see us share our lead simple setups. And again, if you're not on lead simple, that's fine. Most CRMs are going to let you do something similar.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you still get value from it. But the first thing I want to say about working with a CRM is that the sort of structure and organization of the CRM, I think, is really important. And like, you can just dump everything into one bucket and just have like 2 or 3 stages, and it'll work. You can just have like in progress, closed, or lost, right? And just have everything dumped into that one pipeline and everything dumped into those 3 stages. And that's actually not a bad place to start. But as you increase your lead volume and as you start to become more sophisticated with sales automation, you're going to get a lot of value from structuring and organizing a little bit in your CRM. And here's what I recommend, and you can tell me what you do, Wolf. First thing is, Lead Simple calls it pipelines, but basically different sections of your leads, like different types of leads.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, we have one that's just called owners. And these are like the hot leads, basically. These are people who reach out, hey, I have a duplex. I'm interested in learning about property management. Or, hey, I have a single family home. I've been self managing, but I'm ready to hire a property manager. These are people who currently own property that can hire you to manage it. I call that owners, and like that's where all those leads go. And we'll talk about how to segment those further in a moment. But there's other types of leads that come in. There's also people who reach out and say something like, tell me if you've ever gotten a call like this, Wolf. Hey, I'm interested in real estate investing, and I'm trying to like put my team together because next year I'm going to start looking at properties. So I want to know all about how you manage properties, and where do you recommend that I look for properties to buy? Right? Okay, does this
I
sound
just
familiar?
attended a seminar at the Hilton, and I got
Yeah.
a list for you. Like, oh, here we go.
So those folks are wonderful people, but they don't belong in the same part of your CRM as the guy who owns a duplex, okay? So
Mm-hmm.
we have a thing called future owners, and that's
Mm.
where we put those leads. And they actually have a totally different set of automations and like drip campaigns and stuff like that. If you try and like create a spot for them inside the same pipeline, it gets all kind of muddied and mixed up and affects your reporting and metrics and stuff. And then the other type is referrers. So this is like realtors that you're working with who have referred you clients or may refer you clients, brokers, bankers, title company people, insurance people, friends of yours, anyone who could refer you business. We have actually a pipeline for those folks. And again, they also have a set of sales automations and emails that go out, but it's a totally different messaging and cadence from some guy who owns 4 single family rentals right now. So that's how I think about pipelines. What would you add to that, if anything, Wolf?
So we do different stages and different sources, but I can see on the reporting part how stripping those out would help. Not necessarily give more clarity, but make it cleaner, especially when you're using that data for performance reviews on team members. So I definitely see the wisdom in that. Ours is set up. We have different active and what do they call it, potential stages based on
Passive?
where you are in the
Yeah.
journey. But I can see having separate pipelines. We do have a pipeline for referrals, and we have a vendor prospect pipeline when we try to market for
Hmm.
vendors. Obviously, that's totally different than a prospective owner, but I could see those different life cycles for reporting purposes, why you would want
Yeah.
to do that.
And like again, if you have a system that's working, you don't need to change it. Like I'm a
Mm-hmm.
huge fan of keeping things simple. So the simplest system that works is the one you should use. Don't add complexity just for the sake of it. I'm just sharing what's worked
Yep.
for us. Okay, so then within the pipelines, so like within um, owners,
Mm-hmm.
which is like our main pipeline, then we have what Lead Simple calls stages. And
Mm-hmm.
stages is like, new, uh, made contact, completed discovery call, needs follow up, waiting for signature, and then closed or won. And then you'll have some lost stages like lost, hired competitor, lost, unresponsive, lost, sold the property. And you end up with probably a dozen or more of these stages. And Lead Simple has a concept of like different categories of stages. So there's a whole set of stages that are under the category of lost. There's a set of stages that are under like the passive or waiting on. There's a set of stages that are under like active leads that you're working. And then there's, of course, a set of stages under one. And so make sure when you're building out your stages that you're putting it in the right category because all of this that I'm talking about is going to affect your reporting. Like when you run a report to figure out your closing rate, you don't want invalid leads counting against you. I think I forgot to mention that. There's a set of stages called invalid. So like invalid tenant, invalid duplicate, right?
Yep.
You don't want those counting against you when you're trying to figure out your closing rate, or if you're trying to figure out how many valid leads per month you're getting, you don't want that muddied up with all the tenant reach outs.
Yeah. They use your contact form to submit a work order.
Yeah.
That's always the best. Like, hey, my water heater's broken. Did you not realize that all these other questions that you're being asked about what type of property do you have, what city, and probably wasn't a fit
Right.
for a work
Yeah.
order? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll go first. I'll share ours, kind of what we have going on. I don't want too much into like the standard stuff because I think there's a lot of similarities in, number of touches and how quickly we try to reach somebody when we first get that lead and not giving up after, the second or third, but going, trying to reach out to them 14 plus times and then moving them to active. But one thing that we do that has worked relatively well is we use Rescover, and it allows us basically to portfolio hunt. We can put our criteria that say, show us owners that own five or between 5 and 10 properties within this zip code, these property characteristics. And what's nice is you put it in and it brings up all the results, and you can go one by one and you will see thumbnail images, the Google Street. And so you can just quickly yep, those don't seem like they're a fit. Next. Or, you see like, yeah, those look like they could work for us. The portfolio looks pretty decent. And quickly with, click of the button, say, yeah, bring it into my Lead Simple. And then it's off to the races. So that's where we're getting a lot of our doors, is by really being specific about what we want to manage and going from there. We do have all property management. I talked about bigger pockets and all that, but I wanted to show this because I think if you're going for a more laser focused approach, this might be a way to do it and to automate quite a bit of it. So we've clicked the button in Rescover and told it, yep, bring it to Lead Simple, put it in this pipeline. It then syncs relatively quickly in there, and then it starts this process or in our management clients pipeline in this particular stage. And you're like, wow, sending them letters, really? Like, I wasted my time to go to a webinar to talk about letters. We don't actually have to do a whole lot because we have this Zap that we've built right here. So when we finish this task right here of cleaning up the name, because no matter where you're getting your data, whether it's tax records or whatever, sometimes they have the first name last, or if it's a trust, we don't want to send a handwritten letter and the name's totally messed up. So we clean it up. we're not doing hundreds at a time here. I do want to preface that we're very strategic in who we're going after. We clean it up, make sure that it's all right, and as soon as that's done, that is our trigger that we are then going to automatically generate letters, create them, bring them back into Lead Simple, and have links to those particular letters. And so, like, here's our templates. They're all lined up right there. It's going to customize the name, the address, a couple of pieces of information in those templates, and going to bring back the letter. And so now, person at front desk, because I want handwritten envelopes on these and I want the letter signed, they print it on letterhead. Some of these letters have little inserts, like we have a important landlord numbers card that is just a good value add to anybody. You know, what's the water department's number, housing authority, etc. We have a nice little card, looks like a movie ticket, that invites you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So they insert it, handwrite the envelope, send it first class mail, and it's real easy. So it's a mixture of automation and manual effort, but the handwritten envelope definitely gets us a good open rate.
I had no idea that you were doing all this, Wolf.
Is that
You've
a
been holding
compliment
out
or
on
you're crazy?
you've been holding out on me.
Hey,
You
you
need
just
to
gotta ask. I don't have a book, but you know.
you need to share all these templates inside Crane.
Yes, I think that's a great idea.
So speaking of Crane, commercial
Mm-hmm.
break. If you don't know, Wolf and I co-founded a private community for property management business owners called Crane, and Crane is reopening applications in about a month, which is very exciting. There's going to be a whole slew of announcements of new member benefits and updates and new events. We are just getting started with Crane. So if you haven't checked it out, go to joincrane.co and learn more about Crane. And we would love to see your application come through when we reopen. And right now, you can join the wait list. That way, you can be notified first when we open up applications again, which again is going to be in about a month. We're getting close. Wolf and I are nailing down all the details of all the new member benefits that are going to be rolling out simultaneously with reopening applications.
Yeah, it
So
is. Those member benefits are going to change the industry. Mark,
I'm
today's
really
August
excited.
8th.
Yep.
So I see a question, somebody asking about what is EC? That's actually, so in Lead Simple, you can assign tasks to either a person or a role, and this is the person that you can see is who's going to do this. So that's front desk, has great handwriting. Yep, we share the same last name, so we're a family business, and those get sent out. And what's nice about it, like I said, when you use Google, these letters, these are actually in our template gallery. So that maybe it's something new to you, that when you're a Google Suite company, you can have your own template gallery. So you can see we have
Never heard of it.
lots of letters in here that basically you got your own little zip forms going on type thing.
I
So
didn't know that.
so we have them in here. They don't have the logo because we have thicker stock letterhead, so it looks real nice. That's why you have the white space here, and they get printed, signed, and so they're prompted at a set interval to send these letters out. And we've gotten a good response, calls. People are like, hey, you know, I'm not really interested, but I really appreciate this little insert, or I'm going to start subscribing to your YouTube channel, whatever. So that's something we're trying to build up the video presence. So
This is
this
so
is
cool.
relatively easy to do.
I'm sure you know this, but there are services that will automate all of this, including the handwritten looking envelope.
But it's handwritten looking, not handwritten. So there's a difference there. When your handwriting is a perfectly straight line, it's like, you know, people are catching on to that, especially like insurance and car sales. They knock it out of the park with really creative ways to get you to
Yeah.
open the envelope. So, like I said, this is not something that we do at scale. This is very strategic, and we're looking for specific portfolios and trying to break through the noise, because the owners of these portfolios are, I found, a little bit more savvy to the game, maybe self-managing, and so we're trying to get through that noise and do something a little different. So
All right, that's really cool, Wolf.
mm-hmm. So that's just one of the things that we have going. When you look at the rest of the pipeline, your new lead, it's just a lot of mixture of touches between emails, phone calls, and trying to drive people to the appointment. So one really good strategy is having right here. It doesn't look like it now, but using Calendly or some type of scheduling service so that they can, right from that message, set up a real live appointment. We have that on our website as well, but every single email and even the text messages talks about, hey, set up a real appointment right now. And then we have it set up based on property type, which person they're going to speak to in our office. So
Yeah.
uh, definitely set something like this up is a great way to initiate even more automations based on the Calendly link. And
Okay.
then last but not least, when we actually start landing, they're interested, we're either going to have an appointment or maybe we already have the Zoom call, whatever it may be, getting as much information ahead of time. And so we use Rent-A-Meter, and Rent-A-Meter has a Zapier integration so that we can go ahead and get median rental price, all that, and bring it right into Lead Simple in a custom field. Yep, it's not the same as going to your MLS or actually doing the research, but it's a time saver. And I found that in our market, it's pretty dang close. So having that information ahead of time is real easy, and it saves time just automating it.
I heard someone explain one time that so they explained what you just said about the rent-a-meter thing, and I said, "Yeah, but the rent-a-meter thing is never right." And they're like, "Yeah, that's exactly correct." And here's what we do. And he's explaining to me. He goes,
Mm-hmm.
"We send the rent-a-meter report to the prospect for their property. So already a piece of value add. But
Mm-hmm.
then in the body of the email, he goes, we say, "Hey, Mr. Owner, please see attached automated report that is going to give you an idea of how much your property can rent for. By the way, this report's actually incorrect. I know some details and some relevant information that I want to share with you about what I actually think your property can rent for. Give me a call back. Would love to discuss that with you." I love it. It's like, who's not going to respond to that? They're like, "What do you mean? What do you know? What's wrong?" Like,
Yeah,
it's such
that
a
stuff
great,
online is way wrong. You call me.
yeah,
That's I like that. Every once in a while we get a number. It's like, wow, that is really often. It's usually because there's like an infill development that the property is in, and it's surrounded by the hood. And when you do
yeah.
like a half-mile search, but ours are usually pretty dang close. We then because we also do sales as well, and a lot of times the leads coming in are like, well, I don't know, should I sell, should I rent? We have a fork right here, which we can then, based on this answer, start another process to work them and see if they want to sell through us. So
Cool.
that's what I want to share at this moment.
All right, let me share some stuff. All right, share screen. Share the right window. Okay. So here's my lead simple. A couple things I wanted to highlight. One is that, and kind of back to basics here, but really powerful thing is that when new leads come in,
Mm-hmm.
you can set up notifications to go to your BDM or you or
Yeah.
multiple people at your company. And you can see for us, it's only going to our BDM, but he's getting call notifications and email notifications both. He's turned off text notifications. But if you have multiple team members and you want to make sure that every new lead that comes in is getting addressed really, really quickly, you can add multiple team members here, and they can either go round robin or simultaneously. So this new lead notification thing is actually, this is like why Lead Simple exists in the first place. Like, this was the first thing they ever built, and it still works awesome. So if you don't have new lead notifications turned on, you are likely losing leads you could otherwise be grabbing, because the data shows, and let me show you this book. So this is the book I was talking about earlier. It's called We Secret Shopped You. It's by the
Mm-hmm.
Geek Marketing guys.
Good
I
one.
don't have I don't have any affiliation with them or anything. I really like the book. We actually are signing up right now to try these guys out. But even if you're not going to, the book is really, really good. So I will drop a link to the book here in the chat. Okay, that was not the link. I lost the link. Here we go. Um, and it's just like really valuable. And they make the point in the book. They actually have the data to show the impact of speed to lead on closing rate, and it is even worse than you thought. Basically, like the person who talks to the prospect first is like 10 times more likely to actually win the account, or some insane number like that. Okay, so we talked about new lead notification. We talked about the why that's important, because speed to lead is really important. And then the other thing I want to highlight in Lead Simple is that your sources. So take some time and really get your sources set up nicely, um, and turn on auto import. So basically, every source in Lead Simple, you turn on this thing called automatically import leads via email, and you can copy this email address. So this goofy looking email address here is actually really powerful and useful, because any lead you forward to this email address is automatically going to get parsed with some AI in Lead Simple and turned into a new lead
Mm-hmm.
that then kicks off the new lead notification we just talked about. So, for example, this is our Bigger Pockets paid lead thing. So I've never even seen it before, but presumably on the back end, whoever set this up, whether it was my BDM or my marketing guy, um, set all this up and set up Bigger Pockets so that new leads would, instead of just getting sent to our BDM directly, like what if he's on vacation or whatever,
Right.
it goes to this email address, automatically gets set up in Lead Simple, saving him a bunch of time of manually creating that lead, and then also kicking off that auto lead notification. And
Go
same
go
thing.
back a screen, where it says stage to create lead in. That so that's how you have different pipelines. For us, that's how we've taken our sources and put them in the different stages, because we tell it, oh, it's this lead from this source, drop them in this stage and run
Okay, cool.
these types of activities.
Yeah, actually, there was nothing selected there. I wonder if that's a problem, or maybe I'm gonna break it if I. I'm gonna hit cancel. But Andrew, I don't know. Maybe this should be new lead, or maybe it should be blank. It was blank, I think.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, so yeah, the sources is powerful, and when you run reports, so like if I go to reports and I go to close business report, I like doing the close by lead source. I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of lifting up my skirt here a little bit, but um, now you can see that like all the lead flow by source and actually the closing rate by source, right? So look at the networking friend. It's like 100% close rate in the last 12 months. Well, there was only two valid leads, so that's not really good data. But if you look at office phone or voicemail, the closing rate's only 17% compared to something like, we're actually having good luck with these Bigger Pockets paid leads. We've got 8 valid
I was
leads and
just gonna
we've,
say,
yeah.
I haven't even gotten that many. Period.
So there's the website chat I was talking about.
Yeah.
Here's all property management. So yeah, website traffic. So this is cool, right? This is really interesting data. So now when Andrew and I are looking at how to spend our marketing budget,
Mm-hmm.
we're just gonna pull the screen up and be like, all right, what's working? Like what's our cost per lead? And
Right.
like you can assign all your cost per lead and everything, so you can figure out the value of these leads and your ROI. I don't that data is not like fully like filled in for us here, but it could be. We just haven't done it yet. So I really like that report, and I find the reporting in Lead Simple for the CRM specifically to be incredibly powerful and overlooked.
Do you use the phone performance one? We've been using that in the office quite a bit, for basically, answer rate and call volume. And uh, what's nice about it, especially because if you're Lead Simple syncing with your property management software and you're using Lead Simple phone numbers, in the top left hand corner where it says owner reports, and you just do all pipelines. So now, because you may have an owner that calls like your Google number, which is actually like a lead tracking number or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So this way, it's going to pull it all in, and now you can see by user, how are they dealing with answer rate, how much is going to voicemail, et cetera. Um, Really helpful, because in addition to that source tracking email address that they come up with on some of, especially the paid ones, where you're really trying to see, like, is this worth it? Getting different phone numbers for those profiles so that you can even then track those calls And this is another way using that phone performance report to, you know,
Got it.
really see what's going on in your sales.
Got it. All right, we're running up on time, so let me run through a couple things. So if you haven't already, this is kind of what you're looking at is the basically the steps, the tasks for a
Mm-hmm.
new lead that comes in under our owner's pipeline, our main pipeline. And you can see there's a bunch of things here that Brian is doing, some of which are automated. You've got text message templates, you've got email templates, you've got phone calls, and all of this is going to be assigned to him automatically every time he gets a new lead. And some
Mm-hmm.
of it's even going to happen automatically. So, like the lightning bolt, if it has a circle around it like that, that means it's automated and it's going to happen like he doesn't even have to do anything. Whereas if there's no circle around the lightning bolt, it's going to like prepare the task for him and then he just has to click send.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's of course all these email templates like you might imagine. There's text message templates. We've also had really great success with sending Calendly links. That was a big jump to our closing
Yeah.
rate when we first implemented that. So you can get creative here and build these out for all your different stages. The specifics of my exact, automations here don't matter all that much. You can go out and browse templates. You can work with RentScale to get templates. You can work with Lead Simple. They've got a set of default templates. But in any case, it's a really powerful system to have. Any type of automation is usually going to put you ahead of most of your competition. Um, there is one I really like that I want to mention, which is that under the lost stages down here, under hired competitor, what I like doing is setting up an automation so that 10 months after the lead gets moved into this stage, it automatically fires an email out that says, "Hey, how's it going with your property manager?"
Yep.
And like just make it like really personal from your BDM. And it's like, "Hey, I was just thinking about you. I think maybe you're coming up on your 1 year renewal. I don't really remember, but how's things going with your property manager? Any concerns or anything I can help you with?" Right? That's the perfect time to insert yourself into that conversation when they're coming up on renewal for their PMA. So
Yeah.
that's a fun one. The other thing I like doing is for like we have a couple folks that we refer to regularly. So refer to Brittany, refer to ERA, Donnie. These are folks that are in areas that we don't service for one reason or another. And we have nice email templates set up with these folks BCC'd so they know the lead's coming. And it's just a nice way to streamline things for leads that aren't a good fit, set up those referral agreements, and then build them right into your sales process. Couple other quick hit things of notes I took when I was preparing. Every prospect, so everyone who gets into this funnel at all, needs to get dumped into a drip marketing campaign as well as signed up for your newsletter. Now, Lead Simple has a nice integration with MailChimp. I actually hate MailChimp, but because of the nice integration, we do use it. And we have a nice
I can
series of.
build you a Zap that will dump them in the
I know, I
tribe if you
know.
want, Peter.
We'll get there. Um, so you really want them to get a series of 4 or 5 emails over 2 months or so, just talking about your company and what you do and how you provide value and actually do provide value, try to provide some value in these emails that you're sending out. Again, you can buy these emails, you can create these emails, you can use ChatGPT to make these emails. I'm not going to show you the exact emails. It doesn't really matter. The point is that you dump them into a drip campaign so they're
Mm-hmm.
hearing from your company regularly. And then also you want to add them to, you should have some kind of an email newsletter going out that's not just a drip campaign, but it's like a once a month or quarterly like email newsletter, and the audience is current rental property owners in your city, right? And it's like updates that are impacting landlords, national news, real estate news, market update, new eviction law, like all of that type of stuff. That's so then you add them to that newsletter. So that's a really easy automation. And this all everything I'm talking about here, none of this is going to double your closing rate. But if you do all of these little things right and you sort of slowly work on them over a year or two, in the end, it's like, well, this adds like 10 leads a year and 2 of them turn into clients. And this adds 20 leads a year and 1 of them turns into a client. Like pretty soon, your pipeline starts to fill up faster and faster and faster because of all these little things that you're doing that are adding up. And I've seen that to be true for us.
And I think that's the whole point with the automation is trying to be in consistency. Like nothing that you or I shared today was like, holy crap, I never thought about sending letters. Like, that part wasn't earth rattling. Hopefully
Yeah.
the message was by using the automation and using a CRM, I'm bringing consistency and I can maybe even bring life to some creative ideas that I've had. But, some months I do a really good job at sending the letters, but then life gets busy. So the next couple months, I don't send the newsletter, and then no leads. Let me send the newsletter again. So the message here isn't so much the creative marketing and sales ideas; it's the using the automation to bring consistency to your process, so that you do, like Peter was saying. Yeah, we're increasing 3 more through this source, 4 more through this source. It was the consistency that made that happen, not so much some cool copy in an email or a new copy on a landing page. Although those things can help, it's the consistency in capturing information, working it, and not letting it, just
Yeah.
die or be forgotten.
My screen share locked up. I'm not able to stop screen sharing, but can you still see and hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay, that's really weird.
you're
Okay.
frozen, but we can hear you. So,
Oh, I'm frozen? Great. Okay. Okay, and we're gonna wrap up here in a minute, but I want to give a shout out too. So if you don't have a BDM, so we talked about Wolf has a does not have a BDM and I
right.
do. Um, if you are the BDM, meaning like Wolf, you don't have a BDM, you're doing the sales yourself. I encourage you to check out RentScale recently released something called their Ideal Closer course, and it was built specifically for business owners who are doing the sales function. He sent me like a example like chapter from this video course. It was really well done, and I've been a long time customer of RentScale, so I want to give a shout out because I know a lot of folks are like, I'm not ready to hire a BDM or I can't afford it yet. This is another tool in your tool belt that I encourage you to check out because it's going to dovetail really nicely with everything that we've been talking about here today. And if I was on it, I would have had like a cool like affiliate link set up or something, but it doesn't matter. It's just good content. Go check it out if you're doing the sales work yourself.
Absolutely. I enjoy even in their stuff they're putting out on Facebook is really good. So
Yeah.
good people over there at RentScale.
All right. That's everything from my notes today. Anything else, Wolf?
Well, that's a good thing your screen didn't lock up on something like, oh, there's my building and rent roll or
Yeah.
locked in. So no, I think that's there's no shortage of creative things you can do in your sales process. Today was really about how do I make it consistent? How do I use automation to make sure that I don't have months that are well executed in our sales process and months that we just got so busy. It was leasing season. We couldn't do any sales this month, right? Because we're so busy doing turnovers, or we had a lot of evictions this month. Whatever the distraction may be, that the automation allows you to be consistent. And that's really the message. Because maybe Peter left. Oh, hey, it's the Wolf Show now. Well, anyways, we'll go ahead and wrap with that. Let me double check our Q&A. Oh, Charles, Peter, can you expand upon your outbound campaign? I think what we'll do, if Peter doesn't come right back, we'll have him maybe do something and we can email that out to everybody and get them set up. Actually, are you back?
I'm back, I think.
All right. Real quick, Charles want to know about expanding upon your outbound campaign.
Yes. So Andrew came in with a ton of outbound experience, and so he's got us set up with a a company that provides non-owner occupied leads. And so every day a few new ones trickle in, and Andrew is taking those, cleaning them up, and then dropping them into a different lead simple pipeline called cold outbound, and even doing some skip tracing to try and find phone numbers and emails for these people. And then Brian, our sales guy, is cold calling and actually trying to reach those people. So We may do a future kind of deep dive on this. We'll go into sort of the technical details and share with you exactly like the software that we're using and how it's all set up in Lead Simple. This is still like early days. We're trialing it, and I don't want to like just share some half baked thing with everybody. So there's a lot of different ways you can get these kind of non-owner occupied leads though, or like we messed around with Discover too for a while and had we like that as well. So the main thing, the hardest part here is just like the consistency with which you have to do this. Like you just have to have someone who's kind of whose job it is to
Yeah.
get these leads from whatever service you're getting them from on a daily basis, clean them up, skip trace them, and then it has to get handed off to like a cold outbound SDR or your BDM who has capacity. And then like there's just like a lot of moving parts, and I've had this vision for years to build something like this, and Andrew came along, was finally able to get it going. But just don't think you're gonna like stand this up with an hour a week and that like your
Yeah.
assistant's just gonna do it. It's complicated. It takes a while to get going, but I'm a believer in it because these big real estate firms are built on the backs of cold calling, like these big commercial real estate brokerages. That's all they do is cold
Yep.
outbound. They built their whole company off of it.
They have call
So
nights.
yeah, there's obviously something there. We just as an industry gotta get more familiar with it, get some reps in.
Yeah, so I just dropped a link to Property Radar. It used to be called Foreclosure Shark. That's how long we've been with them, and now they've expanded their offering since foreclosures aren't the hot selling item anymore. But this is a great way to pick up email addresses and phone numbers of property owners, and you put in your criteria about what type of properties you're looking for, etc. And they do have a great Zapier integration, so you can bring that information, drop it into Lead Simple or whatever your CRM is. But definitely, if you're looking to try to skip trace or build lists, I would highly recommend Property Radar.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's that. I don't see any other questions. I see all the AI note takers are giving their thanks and leaving. So I guess AI is
That's our
giving us a
cue.
boot.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming out today, and we'll see you on the next one.
See you later.
Bye.